Hi guys, and welcome to the Crochet Cakes YouTube channel. My name is Elizabeth. I'm a crochet designer and general crafter, and today's episode is a podcast. Stash it out. So how are you all doing today? I hope that today, when this video comes out, finds you well. I am recording on Wednesday, the 29th of September, which means that tomorrow, the 30th of September, is the 30th of September is the Mort launch party, which I hope you will RSVP, or I guess I'll have seen you there, because technically this video is going to come out in the future, and we're in the past time, guys. Am I right? Speaking of time, I really cannot believe it's the end of September already. I saw a reel yesterday that pretty much kind of explained it all. Time trickles and also slows, and you think it's some month and then it turns out to be another month, and yeah. I don't know if I was ready for October. I don't know, guys. I don't know. So many decisions will have to be reached at the end of this year that I don't know if I wanted to reach the end of the year, but I am excited for all of those who are experiencing the fall weather they want, or maybe the summer weather that they want. I am very excited that these seasons are changing, because I always feel like I change with the season. I don't know if that's just me. Does that happen to you? Do you also change with the seasons? So you feel like you have a more crafty desire, you know, on the cooler months? Because I certainly do. And speaking of those as crafty desires, this episode is called Stash It Out because we're going to be talking about several fun things in the crochet fiber community. Now, I don't need to speak for the entirety of the crochet fiber community, obviously. I am speaking, hello Ichiro, yeah. We'll say hi. Hi. Yeah. What do you think? Let me go. Sorry, Ichiro is demanding pets right now. He's like, well, if you pick me up, you might as well give me some scratches. Well, as I was saying, I don't mean to speak for the entirety of the fiber community, just those people that I am most familiar with. And what I'm talking about is that Claudia of Crochet Luna, Hannah of the Cozy Cottage Crochet, I know her name is not Dora, but I know she's Dora Does, and Faye of Crochet Circle Podcast, and Rosina of Seams and Rogers, and myself have all offered patterns and some promotions to make for a stash busting cal that will be beginning on the 1st of October, which is exciting because I know that you, like me, have a lot of stash that yeah, you might want to be getting on with. So I thought it would be fun to talk about designs that I have that would be good for that cal, but also mention and link down below that Dora Does has kindly put together a blog post with stash busting ideas, and they include patterns from the people participating in the cal and other goodies like that. So I will definitely link that down below, which is a good segue to say that all the links for everything I talk about will be found in the description box below. Sorry guys, we're having intense scratching sessions right now. He's at my feet. I can't really point the camera down because I have to get up and he's literally laying on my feet. Anyway, in the spirit of stashing it, I thought I would walk you through some of the projects that have been in my project stash. I really liked the term that someone said from Crafternoon Treats channel of Area 51 because it's UFOs, unfinished objects. I love that term. So we're kind of stealing that. We're going to just walk you through some of the UFOs that I've had. Some of them are so old that I really will just not be mentioning. Spicier Life Blanket, I'm thinking of you. And some of them are newer, but still now I have dog hair. Some are newer, but they're still pretty old and they need to get done by this Christmas season. So that's what we're going to be talking about. But before I do that, I am wearing some secondhand Stashtober, which is the white that you can see. I was really going to stand up, but I think I'm going to have to record it as a separate video because my dog is laying on my feet, as I said. And on top of that, I am wearing the vintage Echo Cardigan, which is now completely live and out. I had decided to publish it in 2 separate parts so that the blog post for it wouldn't be astronomically long and nobody would actually go through with them. One moment. So after an intense scratching session, Ichiro decided he was going to go out. So I'm going to have to close the door because I think you can hear all the cars driving by. Okay, so I'm just settling in for one more interruption, which will be Ichiro scratching at the door to come back in. I completely forgot what I was saying. I think I was talking about the vintage Echo Cardigan, which is completely out now. It is live on my blog. It's been live on the Etsy page for a while now. And it is a completely crochet cardigan inspired by a vintage top that I own. You can read all about it there. I am very happy with it, but now I can also think of things I would like to add or change from the pattern. But that always happens, doesn't it? You design something and immediately after publishing it, you can think of 10 different ways you could have done it differently. But yes, I'm wearing the vintage Echo Cardigan, which incidentally is a lovely stash busting project because the panels have different stitches, right? But you could also accentuate that by doing different colors for... Sorry, now I'm distracted by the dog because I can see what he's doing. Anyway, you can accentuate the different stitch patterns by also using different yarn colors. And you could, of course, do the collar in a different pop of color. I think that would look great. The sleeves, as you can tell, are in a different yarn because it is lace weight yarn. I do not recommend substituting for the sleeves. You would have to do your own math if you decide to use something different than lace weight yarn, because I have very intentionally designed this for lace weight yarn in the sleeves. And also the cuffs, you could also do them in different colors. So I think there's lots of colors to play around when you make the vintage Echo Cardigan, which makes it, of course, extra fun. Now, having introduced you to this stash busting majesty, I'm going to move forward to some very old projects that I actually completely forgot about. So, my basket, my Area 51 basket. First up, we have a stash busting sweater that I am attempting to crochet. You guys have seen this before. It was my attempt at a fade. I think it's a bit more of a color blocking than a fade, but that's okay. I hadn't really intended to publish this as a design. I will include notes on how I did it in my blog, and I did publish a how-to video of how I'm doing it. I'm planning on doing a second part when I make the sleeves and start the reverse raglan shaping, because I think reverse raglan is something that I get a lot of questions about in my lesson with top pattern. But this would have been an ideal stash busting project if I would have had it out by now. I've used so far 3 different colors. I'm just adding in the 4th color, and they are all in shades of blue-green or green, or contain blue and green, both of them. These are all fingering weight yarns that I've had in my stash. The 2 bottom ones are, I don't remember. And the 2 top ones, I don't remember what these colors, who these colors are by. I'll have to like search the yarn tags, which hopefully I have saved. But yeah, I really want to get back to working on this because I think it'll be a great sweater. I thought about blocking it midway just so I can tell how the fabric is going to actually stretch and play with all those different types of yarn in there. Because, let me bring it back up again, I am using, let me just give you a close-up. So you can kind of see there that I'm using some, they're all fingering weight as I said, but some are thicker fingering weights than others. And that is living in an experimental bag that I once sewed, which is also great scrap busting projects, by the way, bags. Okay, next up, something that I'm gonna frog. I thought I would share that too. And this is living in my lovely Yael bag. And it is, it was a shallow crescent shawl design. I don't know if I'm going to frog it now or just not continue working on it. It's made with We Crochet Officials or Knit Picks Comfy Fingering in the color Ivory, which is a lovely, as it states, kind of like antique-y cream color, which I absolutely love, and I really want to frog it back because I want to make a top with this. But the stitch pattern that I used for it, I do have plans on using the same stitch pattern to create another stash busting project because I was organizing my yarn stash in the weekend, and I have more minis than I thought I did. I at least have 150 grams of minis, and I think they're coordinating. And I do mean minis, not like scraps left over from other projects. These are minis. I believe I have about 150 grams, and I thought it would be great to just put them all together in a project. So might be doing that in December just as a little indulge me. Ichiro is back in. So next I thought I would share another project that I also forgot I had started. And that is living in one of my favorite bags that I've ever made. It's this honeycomb stitch bag that I made it for the Hotel of Bees shawl along, but it was also coincided with So Sweet Violet's Be Along, I think. So it's got, I'm not a big fan of bees, I actually think they're a little scary, but this one has the cute beehives, just really nice and orderly, and I loved it. And inside it's got like some cartoony bees, which I'm okay with. But inside the bag, we've got yarn and a started shawl. I know, apparently I can't finish shawls or blankets. So this is the Balance Shawl, which is a pattern from Emma of Potter and Bloom, and it is her Hanging Rock Designs book 1. It is a pattern that calls for 150 grams of yarn, fingering weight yarn. And I had this lovely blue shade that came in one of my Knit Crate subscription boxes, and I thought I would make the Balance Shawl with it. I don't look good in this particular shade of blue. It's showing up pretty true to color. It's like a cornflower blue. It doesn't really look good on me, but I thought I was going to give it as a gift anyway, and the yarn is truly scrumptious. It is the Fiber Co. Canopy Fingering, Fruits of the Forest, a soft blend of bamboo, baby alpaca, and merino wool. And it is truly gorgeous. But yeah, the color doesn't really go with me, so even though I love the blend of the yarn, I'm going to be gifting it to someone, potentially. And I mean, the shawl is like maybe a quarter of the way through. So I still have a lot of stuff to do here. But yeah, it's just a V-stitch shawl, very V-stitch, no, V-shaped shawl. Very simple, very mindless, and I actually want to get back to working on it after I hand in all my commissions, which have been taking all my time, which is also why I wanted to share with you some stash like that I've got of projects, so that you don't think I work fast. But I know some people sometimes comment, oh, I don't work as fast as you. Guys, I'm slow, especially because I have to be very mindful of all my aches and pains. So yeah, crocheting for 6 hours straight, Not happening. I thought it would when I was laid off during COVID. I thought, you know, crocheting 6 hours a day was going to be possible. No. But on to some knitting. Let's break it up with some knitting. And this one needs to get finished because it's a Christmas present for my sister. And it's in one of my favorite fabrics as well. It's a palm reading fabric that I got from fabric.com, canvas at the bottom, and it says always throw spilled salt over your left shoulder. What movie is that from? And inside, I have no idea what I have. It's a mess. It is a mess in here, I kid you not. But this was a version of the As If tee, which is a pattern by Shay Johnson. I made it once before. Guys, this is a mess. I've made it once before, and I thought it would be super cool to also make it for my sister. You can't really appreciate anything on the screen because I've chosen a black yarn. A black yarn that's discontinued, by the way, but it's got pops of like baby pinks, baby blues. So I'm actually holding it with lace weight double from the very beginning to kind of make a very thick top. If you're familiar with the As If tee, you know that it is a tank top that has a sheer panel at the top and just like some cap sleeves. Now, me being ambitious, I thought I would extend those sleeves and kind of make it long sleeves because I've never really felt that the As If tee is very summer friendly because the sheerness of the panel is achieved with mohair, and mohair is very warm and very itchy. But yeah, so that needs to get finished. Do I remember where I am? No. Fortunately, the As If tee is easy enough that I'm pretty sure I'm just knitting the body right now, and I haven't split for the sleeves or started my intarsia yet. I know I haven't started my intarsia yet because, you know, I would have been there. Oh my god. Oh, excuse me, I just really had to sneeze. You can tell I haven't worked on these projects for a while because they've gathered lots of dust and dog hair, so excuse me. And another just tiny project that I had walking, I can see the dog hair is floating, laying around is my doily mood board project thing. I don't know. I just saw some kind of boards covered with doilies and it looked really nice and I wanted some for myself. That's all I have to say. So I've got some pieces in green, some pieces in white, just different shades, shapes. Don't remember if I was using patterns or not for these. Possibly not, I don't know. But I was just working with Aunt Lydia's number 10 in the color Wasabi and just bridal white. No, I don't think it's bridal white. Classic white. Nothing there to show because until I finish putting all the pieces together, that's going to be nothing. So that is it for the projects that have been just laying around the longest. It's not everything well, I can't say I'm working on any of these. I should be working on these. I'm going to frog one, as I said. So I hope you enjoyed that little stash busting tour, and tell me what is the longest whip you have right now. Like, what's the longest standing whip? For me, it's definitely the one I didn't show you, which is the Spicier Life blanket. I don't have anything against the pattern. I think the pattern is lovely. I love the colors. I would love to have the finished blanket. I just can't seem to bring myself to work on it. But every time I think, right, I'm just gonna frog it, I don't. I get very sad. So I don't think I will frog it. I thought I would move on to just a little bit of what else I've been up to in crafty terms. I do have some works in progress, but also some nudes, because with the advent of October, I also told you guys that I was going to be releasing a sock pattern. and I shared it with you last time, but I never told you what it was called. And it is called the squared root sock pattern. And it is because you have squares forming the color work, and you wear them in your feet, which is, you know, if you think about a tree, your roots and that made no sense. I have to think of a better way to explain it. But my thinking was that you are rooted to earth, right, with your feet. So that's why I called these squared root. And several of you wrote back and said that you had the same yarn. So I would really love it if you also make the socks. Yes, please. I don't want to commit you to anything you don't have time for, or anything you may not want. I mean, you might not want crochet socks. Not everybody likes them. But that is up and coming in patterns. And then something that I've already published in the blog, but I don't remember if I shared it here on the podcast, is my white pumpkin. It's up in the blog, and I just called it white pumpkin because the sample happened to be white. You can make it any color you want, is what I'm trying to get at. And for the little stem, I've actually used a stem that I saved from a decorative pumpkin, a real decorative pumpkin that I had, and I just saved the stem. What makes this pumpkin really special is that you crochet using single crochets in the round, but the way you yarn over and under is different, so that you get a closer kind of X looking fabric with this pumpkin. I absolutely love it, and I think it's just perfect pumpkin, well, decorative pumpkin. Also, another thing that I've been working on when I'm not working on commissions is the socks for my brother. Now, you guys were very encouraging when I talked about continuing with crochet afterthought heels on knit socks, that experiment, and that is exactly what's going to happen with this sock. I think I'm still about an inch away from starting the toe, potentially. The foot, not counting the heel, needs to be 6.75 before I do the toe. So I'm almost there, and I'm very excited about that, because once I do the toe, all I have to do is cut into the knitting and crochet the afterthought heel. This time I've picked a brighter yarn so that I can also record that process with you and make it a bit more of possibly a little glimpse that you can see in the podcast. And then if it also turns out to be a successful experiment, then I will use the second sock of this same pair to actually record a tutorial that you can view and participate in your sock making endeavors. Now for this, I'm not using a pattern, honestly. I just believe I cast on 64 stitches, did a 2x2 rib, and this is all Regia yarn. Which kind? I don't know. I got it at EYF the second time I went with my mom, so it's a couple of years old, and I'm glad to be using it. I think he'll really appreciate it, even though he may be moving to a warmer place, which is kind of sad, because what about all the woolies? I feel like I'm kind of breezing through this and at the same time talking your ear off. I don't know. So crafting wise, that really is it. I did start another project last night that I had no business starting, but I'll leave that for the next podcast, because I do not want this to drag on so long that you have to spend an hour sitting with me. I don't want to do that to you. So the final thing I will talk to you about is what I'm reading. So last time I told you I was reading this book, Longbourn by Jo Baker. It's a story about the servants that are briefly mentioned in Pride and Prejudice, and I do mean briefly. Like, there's only one line mentioning their footmen in the entire Pride and Prejudice, the Bennet's footman. So I enjoyed it. It gives you a very different, kind of like alternate universe in a way, but not really. The same events that happen in Pride and Prejudice take place in this book. They're just not told through the upper class. They're told in the eyes of the servants. So how the events that are taking place affect the servants that work in the Bennet household. And you kind of, if Pride and Prejudice gives you the warm feelies because of all the regency, court courtesy, and blah blah blah, this one is, it doesn't evoke that feeling, not because you don't like the characters portrayed. I loved the characters in the book, but because it gives you a different view of what your favorite characters would have possibly behaved like in terms of people not of their station. So for example, Sarah, their maid, I think I called her Sally last time. Sarah is kind of bold enough to ask Elizabeth to inquire after a Mr. Smith, and Elizabeth said, "Oh, sorry, I'm confused because I don't have a Mr. Smith in an acquaintance. You meant the footman. He's not Mr." So you kind of get that feeling of these aren't people to the Bennets, and in a way that would have probably been true, not of every Regency lady, but certainly most. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. If you can find a copy, I got mine in a used bookstore, then it's definitely worth a read. Sarah is a lovely character. She is a young girl who's starting to chafe against the expectations of her station. She wants a little bit more out of life. She wants to travel, she wants respect, and she wants to mostly be seen. She wants to be acknowledged as a person and human being. And I think that's something that can resonate with a lot of people. So I really liked this story. And because I finished this one, I took a day to process feelings, and then I started Dreadfully Ever After, the second book of Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. I literally started it yesterday, so I'm going to start chapter 4 now. But this is basically kind of starts with action, and it starts right with the main event. And the main event is set in the description, so I'm not giving anything away. It's basically that Mr. Darcy is bitten by a zombie, and how Elizabeth is going to deal with that and things like that. I actually haven't read ahead. I have a tendency when I'm reading kind of adventure books or things like that to skip to the last page, and if I don't like how the book's going to end, then I don't bother to read it. It's not a very good habit, and I actually didn't do it with this one, so I can't spoil anything for you. And like I said, I've just read 3 chapters, but that's what's going on in my library. Awfully tempting to read more than crochet, honestly. And I've been trying to train myself to read and knit or crochet at the same time. It's not possible with printed books, but I can sort of do it when it's an ebook. So that's very exciting. That means I can read and crochet at the same time. I'm all here for it. So I think that's all I have to share with you guys today. We talked about projects that are in my stash of projects that will potentially be finished before the end of the year, or at least I will endeavor to finish them. We talked about upcoming designs, which I'm excited to share with you. And we talked about, well, I briefly mentioned the Moor launch party, which probably should have waited to record after tomorrow, but my husband isn't home today, and he's not in meetings, which means I don't have to be quiet, and he doesn't have to be quiet or something, because you can kind of overhear when he's in a meeting. So I just thought I'd take this opportunity to sit down and chat with you. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, thank you for spending a little bit of your crafty time with me today. I hope I was able to keep you entertained. I don't think I talked too much of anything today, but I at least hope that I kept you company and that I did not bore you. I think I've talked so fast that I literally have no idea what we've talked about. So if I missed something, or if you would like me to give more details about something or anything like that, then please comment. And if you just want to say hello, also comment. If you want to get in touch with me, you know where to find me. And also thank you so much for all your support. I will see you later on in my channel. I have to edit a tutorial and I am recording a sock tutorial for this upcoming sock pattern that will only be available if you purchase the sock pattern. So you also have those to look forward to. And as always, just thank you so much for spending time with me, for being you, for being supportive. I hope you've had some crafty time, and I hope you've been keeping well. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you want, then like, subscribe, comment. I upload every 2 weeks with a podcast, and here and there I like to sprinkle in some other types of videos. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time with another podcast. Happy crafting!